5 years after Jurassic World Dominion, a new era begins, and it has dangers unlike any before. Scarlett Johansson takes command of a mission deep into the wild, where every choice could decide humanity's future. Let's dive in. Chapter 1. The Perfect Vacation. Ruben Delgado thought he was giving his 2 daughters the perfect vacation. He had finally set sail across the Atlantic with Teresa, his eldest, and Isabella, his youngest. Along with them came Teresa's boyfriend, Xavier Dobbs, a young man Ruben barely tolerated. The father made little effort to hide his distrust, but for Teresa's sake, he allowed Xavier to join. For a time, everything felt peaceful. The ocean stretched endlessly around them, calm and serene. Then, without warning, the water shifted, and their peace shattered. From the depths rose a massive Mosasaurus. Its enormous body collided against the boat. The creature didn't attack directly, but its sheer size and presence were terrifying. They were panicking. Water rushed into the lower cabin, where Xavier had gone moments earlier and was now trapped. Ruben had never liked him and often disapproved of his relationship with Teresa, but his daughter's desperate pleas left him no choice. He ordered his daughters to search for the emergency radio while he dove into the flooded cabin himself. After fighting through debris and the crushing weight of the water, Ruben managed to pull Xavier free. The two barely made it back to the deck when the Mosasaurus returned, this time lunging straight at them. They scrambled onto the boat just seconds before its massive jaws could close around them. A moment later, the creature slipped back into the depths, and leaving the shaken family alive but breathless. Teresa soon found the emergency radio, and together they sent out a distress call. To their relief, a vessel responded from roughly 30 nautical miles away. But this was no fishing boat. Its crew weren't rescuers at all. They were mercenaries on a secret mission. The group was led by Zola, a former soldier turned mercenary captain. Disciplined and sharp, she had been contracted for a dangerous assignment. At first, she didn't accept the job. Her team had already taken heavy losses on previous operations, and she wasn't eager to repeat that nightmare. But the mission's sponsor, Mike, a pharmaceutical executive, offered her a price too large to refuse. Chapter 2. The Crew and the Mission. Zola knew she couldn't do this job alone. After the deal, Zola began assembling her crew. She recruited Dr. Henry Loomis, a paleontologist whose knowledge of dinosaur behavior could prove vital. She also turned to her old friend Duncan, the owner of a heavily modified ship and a man seasoned enough to survive a mission this dangerous. At first, Duncan refused because the risk was too high, but when Zola promised him a greater share of the payment, he reluctantly agreed. Even with the team assembled, tension hung over them. Mike, representing the pharmaceutical company, pressed them to follow the mission's objectives without compromise. Just before departure, the company revealed a grim detail about their destination. Years earlier, on that same island, a genetically modified Tyrannosaurus Rex had escaped containment. The disaster began with something small, a candy wrapper lodged in a security gate, causing a short circuit. The malfunction triggered alarms that disabled the safety locks. In the chaos, the hybrid predator broke free, rampaging through the facility and killing researchers before the survivors could evacuate. The base was abandoned. The dinosaurs remained. The warning weighed heavily on Zola. She couldn't ignore the possibility they might encounter the hybrid dinosaurs. To prepare, she drafted a quick strike strategy, collecting the samples as fast as possible, avoiding unnecessary risks, and never staying longer than they had to. Chapter 3. The Survivors. Back in the present, when the team intercepted a distress signal at sea, Mike argued firmly against responding. Their mission wasn't about saving strangers, but Zola couldn't turn away. Duncan supported her decision. She overruled Mike and ordered the ship toward the survivors. Mike was visibly displeased, but with no choice. He accepted her decision. Zola's team soon reached the stranded family. Ruben expected to be taken to safety, but it didn't take long for him to realize the mercenaries had no intention of returning to port. Instead, they were going further into dangerous waters. By listening to their conversations, Ruben knows the truth. The mission was to collect genetic samples from 3 massive species, the Mosasaurus, the Titanosaurus, and the Quetzalcoatlus. To accomplish this, the company had supplied specialized syringes designed to draw DNA from a distance, reducing the need for close contact with the creatures. But Ruben did not agree. He pleaded with Zola to take his family to a safe port before continuing the mission. Zola refused, and their argument ended abruptly when the ship's radar picked up large signals nearby. Chapter 4. Trapped at sea. The Mosasaurus had returned. The crew quickly moved into action. Duncan steered the vessel into position while Zola the syringe device. Her first shot missed, the ship rocking violently under the force of the creature's waves. On her second attempt, however, the syringe struck true. Within moments, a vial of Mosasaurus blood was secured and the first stage of their mission completed. Relief spread across the crew, but it didn't last. Not far from the ship, multiple dorsal ridges broke the surface. To their horror, a pack of Spinosaurus was closing in, circling the vessel and cutting off any chance of escape. Chapter 5. Land or Death. In a panic, one of the mercenaries, John, opened fire, but the bullets barely scratched the creatures. Instead, the gunfire only enraged them. A Spinosaurus lunged at the ship, slamming into the deck and capsizing part of it. John was dragged into the water and killed instantly. Before the crew could recover, the Mosasaurus struck again. With no other choice, Duncan steered toward a nearby island. The shallow waters offered some protection, and the Mosasaurus could not follow. But the amphibious Spinosaurus remained in pursuit. In the chaos, Teresa was thrown overboard. Xavier dove in after her, with Ruben and Isabella following close behind. Once on shore, the group caught their breath, but safety was short-lived. A Spinosaurus ambushed them on the beach, killing Nina, another mercenary, before slipping back into the waves. The survivors argued over their next move. Some wanted to abandon the mission and focus on survival, while others pushed to continue. During the debate, they learned that the island wasn't just any refuge. It was the site of an old Jurassic World research facility. Years ago, the base had been destroyed when a genetically modified Tyrannosaurus rex escaped its enclosure, slaughtering dozens of researchers. The facility had been abandoned ever since. Despite the warnings, Zola insisted they press forward. Their boat was destroyed, and the only way off the island was to reach a helicopter scheduled for pickup at a helipad deep inland. With no other option, the team began their task, aiming to find their second target, which was the Titanosaurus. Chapter 6. No Way Back. Meanwhile, Ruben and his family searched separately for signs of human settlements. Along the way, Ruben's opinion of Xavier began to shift. The young man's courage in protecting Teresa softened his harsh judgment. They followed old geothermal pipelines, hoping they might lead to a village or a station with working communications. During their journey, Bella encountered a small oviraptor. It was harmless. She named it Dolores, and the little creature quickly bonded with her, becoming a source of comfort in the midst of danger. That night in the camp, for the first time, Ruben and Xavier had peace between them. While the others slept, Bella quietly slipped away, drawn to the oviraptor she had seen earlier. At the same time, Xavier stepped into the dark to relieve himself, unaware of the predator stalking nearby. A velociraptor was ready to strike. Just as it was about to strike, a winged hybrid came down from the sky. It slammed into the raptor, tearing it apart in a violent clash of claws and teeth. Only then, Xavier, he realized just how narrowly he had escaped death. The next day, Zola's team located a pair of titanosaurs grazing in a lush canyon. The towering creatures paid little attention to the humans. Moving carefully, Zola deployed the syringe and extracted a sample. With two species secured, only one target remained, the Quetzalcoatlus. At the same time, Ruben's family came across an abandoned boat along a riverbank. Inside, they found a kayak that could help them cross. But the relief didn't last. The area showed signs of being claimed by a Tyrannosaurus rex. When the predator returned, the family barely escaped, squeezing into a rocky crevice as the massive dinosaur prowled just outside. Elsewhere, Zola's team reached a cliff overlooking the Quetzalcoatlus nesting grounds. After securing ropes and fastening their gear, Zola, Henry, and Leclerc prepared to descend into the cave, planning to approach the nest from above. Duncan and Mike remained at the summit, tasked with keeping watch and providing cover. When the team reached the nest, they discovered several eggs. Deciding it was safer than confronting the adults, they drew genetic material directly from the eggs. But before they could finish, one of the winged giants returned. The narrow cave restricted its movement, but its sheer size made every strike devastating. The mercenaries scattered in panic. In the chaos, one man was killed, another dropped the sample. Despite the heavy losses, Zola managed to recover the genetic material, securing the final piece of their mission. Now, they only had to survive until evacuation. As night fell, the two groups finally crossed paths near the abandoned research base. Ruben's anger boiled over when he learned that Mike had left Teresa to nearly drown earlier. Teresa confronted him directly, but instead of remorse, Mike drew a pistol and demanded that Zola hand over the genetic samples. Chapter 7. A New Threat. Before the standoff could escalate, a new threat emerged. From the skies swooped mutated velociraptors, twisted creatures with wings resembling those of the Quetzalcoatlus. They were failed experiments from the old laboratory, long since escaped and thriving in the wild. The hybrids attacked without hesitation. Everyone scattered. Ruben and his family fled into the underground tunnels, where they discovered an old sewer system once designed as an emergency escape route. Zola's remaining team wasn't as fortunate. Duncan and Henry tried to signal the extraction helicopter, but their Their flare drew a genetically modified Tyrannosaurus rex. The beast struck and destroyed the helicopter in seconds and left the survivors stranded. With no way out, the survivors regrouped in the tunnels. Duncan remembered that the old sewer system connected to the docks, where a backup boat had been hidden. Clinging to that hope, the group began their final way toward the shore. Along the way, Bella proved crucial. When they reached the exit gate, they found it locked. With the winged raptors closing in, she squeezed through the narrow bars and managed to activate the switch, opening the way for everyone else. But the mutated Tyrannosaurus rex had followed them into the tunnels. Just as all hope seemed lost, Mike reappeared, trying to steal the docked boat for himself. The headlights of his vehicle caught the predator's attention, and within moments, he was gone. The others seized the distraction to make their escape. As they sprinted for the boat, the Tyrannosaurus chased again. Duncan stayed behind, lighting a smoke, and tried to take the beast away. He sacrificed his life to give others the chance they needed to launch the boat. They thought Duncan had perished, but against all odds, he survived and reunited, and at last, the group sailed away from the cursed island. Only 7 people escaped alive from the island, and with that, the tale ends. And that wraps up our breakdown of Jurassic World: Rebirth 2025. Released in July this year, the film had already made history, climbing to become the 4th highest-grossing film of 2025 worldwide, with more than $330 million at the domestic box office.